Hey guys, so I just got in from Wegmans. I did my weekly grocery run, and before I put everything away, I thought it would be a good idea to just make a haul video and show you guys what I picked up because so many of you loved the last one that I did from Trader Joe's. I also love watching these videos because I feel like I get so much inspiration, if you want to call it that, or like ideas of things to make, because sometimes I just feel like I hit a wall and I just keep, I end up making like the same things over and over, and I just run out of ideas and I need fresh ideas. And I do love reading, like I do have my favorite blogs and websites that I find recipes, but sometimes I just want some new fresh ideas. So I love watching these videos. So hopefully this video will give you guys some ideas too, as I'll kind of let you know why I purchased some of the things that I did and some of the things that I plan to make. I also do want to start uploading more, because I haven't done any, like a food diary of like 1 week's what I would eat in a week. I actually have one that I filmed. I think I filmed it like while I was still pregnant, and for some reason I totally forgot that I had it on my computer. I just saw it the other day, so I am going to upload that. I think it's really helpful, and like I said, it'll maybe give you guys some ideas of different things to make. Some of you in my last video asked what my husband, like if he has any say or like how I go about cooking for him too. Nick pretty much eats whatever I make. He's not a picky eater at all. There's some things that he could pass on, like tomatoes. Like he hates tomatoes. I love tomatoes, so if I make a salad, I just leave the tomatoes out and put them on the side or stuff like that. Like there's very few things that he will not eat. I'm pretty blessed in that aspect that I could just make one meal for the both of us, and I'm hoping, like with raising Addison, I'm hoping to really raise her to enjoy and eat the same things that we eat too, so that I'm not having to make separate meals for my husband and my children and I. So with that being said, I also wanted to just mention, a lot of you guys know, I've talked about it in previous food related videos, that I was a vegetarian, and I'm no longer a vegetarian. Not to take up too much time, I never was a vegetarian for the reasons a lot of people are. I just never really was the biggest fan of meat. Like even to this day when we go out to a restaurant, like I very, very, very rarely ever order meat. I do sometimes crave like a good burger, but other than that, like I still don't eat a lot of it or very often, and Nick is the same way. Like we really could take it or leave it. But since I became pregnant and now that I'm breastfeeding, I just constantly feel like I'm like needing more protein. And though I was eating like tofu and fish and like grains and stuff like that, I just feel like it wasn't enough for my body. So I started to incorporate some meat in my diet, but really I probably only eat it like once or twice a week, if that. There are some weeks that I go a whole week without eating any meat, but I just sometimes you just have to listen to your body, and I just feel like I was just needing more, because you burn so many calories when you're breastfeeding. Like to this day, Addison is 8 months old. I'm still exclusively breastfeeding her, and I can out-eat my husband. Like I am ravenous all the time, which is so funny to me because I'm usually like, it's just so funny to me because I never used to be like that. But now I'm like ravenous and I just want to eat and eat and eat. And sometimes I just feel like meat sometimes fulfills those like food needs that I have. So I do have some chicken in this haul, so I thought maybe I would get questions like, I thought you were a vegetarian. I just wanted to explain that. Okay, so really quickly before I go to the store, I always do this. I usually do it on Sundays. I sit down, I make a meal plan for the week, what we're gonna eat. I tend to kind of on the side jot down what I'll eat for like breakfast and lunch too, now that I'm home a lot more. That way I'm not scrounging when my blood sugar gets low and I'm home during the day and I'm like, oh my God, what am I gonna eat? I kind of have an idea. Like most mornings I start out with oatmeal, but there are some times I like to change it up. And lunchtime I feel like is one of those things that it's kind of just like whatever I have left over in the fridge, or if I have like in my head things that I want to try. Nick pretty much comes home for lunch every day, so I do like to have something prepared for him, and obviously I sit down and eat with him sometimes, but there are days where my day doesn't start until 11 o'clock. By the time I'm downstairs, I'm not eating breakfast until 11 o'clock, so I don't even really eat lunch, which I know isn't great, but it just kind of depends on the day. But I find that having ideas or recipes in my head and shopping for those ingredients makes it a lot easier on me, takes a little bit of the stress away from what am I gonna make for lunch and what am I gonna have for dinner. So every week I sit down and I write out the meals that I wanna have. I look up recipes online, I'll visit food blogs and kind of plan it out, and then from there I make my grocery list. So Wegmans, love Wegmans. I get a ton, mostly all of our produce from there. I got some bananas. These are a staple in my house. I put them in my oatmeal. We eat them as a snack. I use them for baby food. If they start to go bad, I'll make banana bread. I will put them in the freezer, use them for smoothies. They just have so many million uses for them. So we always have bananas. Same goes for apples. Addison loves apples. I use it for baby food. I put these in my oatmeal. I'm gonna make some applesauce this week to just have on hand in the fridge as a snack. Love apples. Raspberries, same thing. I use them for smoothies. I use them just to snack on, really good. And same goes for strawberries. I love putting strawberries in my oatmeal. My daughter loves strawberries. I snack on them. Sometimes after dinner when I'm craving something really sweet, I'll just have some cut up strawberries with a little bit of whipped cream or something, and that'll be my dessert. Garlic. I cook with garlic pretty much every time that I cook. This was something new that I got this week. This is Boston Bibb lettuce, and I got this for a little recipe that I'm gonna try that I saw on Danny Spees' website. She made like little buffalo chicken cups. So the lettuce is kind of like the cup. I love Danny Spees' website. I get a ton of recipes and ideas and things from there, so I will link her website below, but that is why I bought that. I also have limes. I use limes for cooking. Sometimes if I'm making like tacos or something like that, or put it in a dressing, I use limes for that. I usually have limes and lemons on hand at all times, but I didn't have limes. Same thing goes for like parsley, cilantro. Those are usually always in my fridge. I also got two bulbs of fennel this week, because this week another recipe from Danny Spees I'm going to try is she has a white bean and fennel soup and a fennel and orange salad, which I actually had out at a restaurant and loved it so much. So that's why I got the fennel. I also picked up an orange for that salad. Bell peppers, I use these most of the time to cook. I'm gonna make skewers this week with fish, so I use the peppers for that. I use these to saute them. You can use them as a side. Always to like, another little tip when I go to Wegmans or wherever I'm doing my grocery shopping, pay attention to the club packs. They tend to be a great deal, a great bargain. For example, when I picked up, I didn't even see these, I went and I picked up 2 peppers. I just needed 2, a green and a yellow, and they were $3.99 a pound. So for 2 peppers, it was like $5.20 or something. This whole pack, which you get 6 of them, was $4.99. So sometimes it pays to do a little research and shop around before you just start loading your cart up. I also got tomatoes. I use these in salad all the time. Like I said, I'm a huge fan of tomatoes. Nick's not so much. I also got cherry tomatoes. I'm going to put some of these on my skewers. I also just like to cut them up sometimes with some cucumbers as a salad, or with some avocado for lunchtime. Got some broccoli to make with some fish this week for dinner. I usually just boil it and then put it in a cold bath, and it just is amazing with a little bit of sea salt and either olive oil and vinegar, or just olive oil and lemon or garlic, and I just pop it in the fridge sometimes, and I have it cold as a side. You can roast it in the oven. There's so many things you can do with broccoli. It's Nick's like favorite, so we pretty much have broccoli on the regular. And I got scallions. I pretty much have these in my produce drawer in my fridge. I put these in salads a lot, or on top of like a rice and black bean bowl sometimes I have for lunch. I got some spinach, which we use in smoothies a lot of times, in quesadillas, if you want to make like healthier quesadillas, tacos. Another tip that I've learned and done for spinach is sometimes if you know it's going to go bad, I end up just blending it in the blender and freezing it in ice cube trays, and then you can just pop them out and put them in like your smoothies, or like for me, I got organic on purpose, because that way if I have some left over, I can blend it up and have it for Addison as a food for her to mix in with something else. So that's pretty much, oh no, and I also got avocados. These are also a staple in my house. Nick and I love avocados. I'll literally like eat a half of an avocado sprinkled with a little bit of salt for a snack, or sometimes we'll cut it up for a salad or put it in with like a black bean and rice bowl. Love avocados. I also picked up some canned beans. I do have dried beans too, but sometimes convenience-wise, it's just easier to pop open cans, and I usually go for the low sodium. I couldn't find them. So I did get some garbanzo beans, which are chickpeas, black beans, and cannellini beans, and these are just staples that I keep in my pantry, so I always kind of take an inventory to see before I go to the store, like staple wise, like if I have what I need, because these are something too, like I keep talking, I'll have like a black bean and rice bowl for lunch. Sometimes like I know I need the cannellini beans for a soup this week. Garbanzo beans, I put them in salads. I also, my favorite way to do them is as a side, put them in the oven with a little bit of like garlic and onion powder and salt and roast them, and they turn to be like a little bit crunchy. We use that as a side for dinner a lot of times, which is great. And then at Wegmans, I love their like dry bulk section. I find that you end up getting a ton of product for less money. You end up saving money in the long run instead of buying everything like in packages. And you can control how much you're buying. So I picked up some slivered almonds to just make, to put over like oatmeal or make some homemade granola, some shredded coconut. You know, I just needed a little bit. And this whole thing, I got like 1/4 of a pound and 10 cents instead of buying like a whole big thing of that I probably won't ever go through. What else do I have here? I have brown rice. I pretty much buy this in bulk, like I've mentioned in tons of videos before. Brown rice is a staple in my house. I store it in mason jars in my pantry. I do the same thing with quinoa. I didn't need quinoa this week, but that's another thing that I usually buy in bulk. I got some walnuts, again, for some oatmeal, or if I want to have, I sometimes need them for like cookies, like if I want to bake something. And then rolled oats, oatmeal. Again, I just always have this on hand because we pretty much eat this for breakfast 98% of the time. What else? I got a big club pack of chicken breasts, and here again, like Wegmans is great for this, $1.99 a pound. And what I usually do with chicken, I have a ton of it, is I cut them up and I take one breast and I like butterfly it, and then I store them in Ziploc baggies, and I most of the time store them in the freezer. Like I know we're going to be having chicken one night this week, so I'll leave out 1 or 2 breasts, and I usually make 2 breasts, but I butterfly them so it ends up being 4 pieces. So then Nick and I will each have a piece for dinner, and then we'll have leftovers for lunch the next day. So that's something that I pretty much do all the time when I get chicken. I'll cut these up and separate them into Ziploc bags, like I said, so that they're ready to go, and I'll take them out the night before that I know I'm going to make chicken, and they'll defrost overnight, and it just makes it really easy and quick to cook. We're going to have some halibut this week, so I picked up 2 fillets of halibut. I'll probably just bake it in the oven with some olive oil and garlic and maybe a little bit of white wine and lemon juice or something. If it was the summertime, I'd probably stick it out on the grill. We love halibut. And I also picked up some swordfish. I'm going to make skewers with the swordfish. And here again, Wegmans does these frozen fish a lot, these packages of frozen fish. And sometimes it's cheaper than going to the seafood case and getting it fresh fish. It was actually cheaper to get the pack. It was, I think, $14.65 a pound. In the case, they were like $18.99. So it pays to pay attention. Oh, I picked up a little sweetheart tart thing. These are Nick's favorite. It's in there. Picked up some bread. We use this for toast. We usually always get this one. It's by Arnold. It's the whole grain, healthy multigrain. I also got a loaf of the Pepperidge Farm swirl bread. This is my absolute favorite bread in the whole world. I usually have a couple slices in the morning for breakfast with oatmeal or just on its own. Sometimes this is like a really nice snack at nighttime. I'll have a slice or 2 if I'm craving something sweet after dinner. I just absolutely love this. I picked up some agave. I never have tried this before, but a lot of the recipes that I've been finding online call for this versus plain old sugar, so I have that. Also picked up some of this Garden Fresh Gourmet salsa for quesadillas, taco salads, things like that, just to kind of have on hand. We usually always have some salsa in the fridge just as a snack. And then I picked up yogurt. This is the Faya Total Greek yogurt. This is what we give Addison as a snack. And then I got a whole bunch of these individualized ones for Nick and I. These are the non-fat, and I got them like all different flavors. I got a little bit of the Kalamata olives off of their Mediterranean bar for a recipe. Some sugar in the raw. This is usually what we keep on hand versus like the pure white sugar to bake with or put in my coffee. I picked up 2 bags of the Ghirardelli milk chocolate because I plan to make some chocolate chip cookies, which I'm probably going to do a video about because the recipe that I made these a couple weeks ago, what I do is I make them and then I freeze them. So I just kind of pop them in the oven like when we want some cookies instead of making like a whole batch of them. And not even kidding you, they were the best chocolate chip cookies I have ever had in my entire life. And I've tried a lot of chocolate chip cookies, let's just be honest. I usually just make like the recipe that's on the back of the Nestle Toll House bag, but my cousin actually brought chocolate chips to Thanksgiving, and the recipe is a little bit more on the intricate side. Like it calls for ingredients that I wouldn't normally have on hand. I was kind of putting off making them, then finally one day we were snowed in and I'm like, I'm just gonna make these cookies. They were amazing. So I'm gonna make them again because I love having stuff like that in the freezer. That way if people come over or one night I just have a sweet tooth, Nick wants something sweet, I just pop a couple in the oven and we're good to go. So I always constantly have like cookie dough or some kind of dessert on hand, especially like if I make desserts throughout the week. Like I usually freeze half of it if they're bars or cookies or cakes or like cinnamon breads. Like I will freeze a lot of it and just like bake whatever we're gonna have and then freeze a lot of it. And I constantly always have stuff in the freezer to make. And my whole philosophy, if you've been watching my channel, I've said this before, like I have never tried dieting. I don't believe in dieting. I eat what I want, but I eat in moderation. I don't eat chocolate chip cookies every night of the week. But if I want to have chocolate chips one night or 2 nights, I'm gonna have them and I'm not gonna deprive myself. For the most part, I don't eat snacks and desserts. Like I'm not someone that has to have dessert every night of the week. Even when we go out to eat, I very, very rarely get a dessert because I'm usually too full. And I'm not like a huge dessert eater. Probably the holidays is probably when I indulge the most, but I'm not someone that has like a crazy sweet tooth. But if I do end up getting a sweet tooth, or if I'm craving something sweet or fattening, like I have it and I never feel guilty about it because like I would say 90% of the time, 90% of my lifestyle and my diet is pretty healthy for the most part. So I never ever feel guilty if I want to have cinnamon bread or chocolate chip cookies or, you know, a banana bread or something like that. I never ever feel guilty, and you shouldn't either. If you eat right and you allow yourself to have whatever you want, I feel like you end up not getting so crazy about food, I've just found. So, for example, in front of me, 2 boxes of Girl Scout Thin Mint cookies. Yeah, I love these, and I can never just have like 3. I end up eating like 6. That was a tangent, sorry. Also got a huge thing of Greek yogurt. I'm gonna use this as like a dip in a recipe, not necessarily to eat. I tend to like flavored yogurt, but I do like to keep some of this on hand in the fridge for recipes and for cooking with. I usually, if a recipe calls for sour cream, I sub it out and I use Greek yogurt. It's just a little trick that I do. I got some whole wheat tortillas for quesadillas for lunch. Sometimes I use these with, in the mornings if I want to scramble up some eggs and put a slice of turkey bacon in there, I use these for that. Cottage cheese. Sorry, I have like stuff at the end of my counter, so I'm like, cottage cheese is a great snack. Addison likes it too. I got some shredded cheese for quesadillas if I want to make them, and some organic brown eggs, which again are a staple in my refrigerator. And I think I have a thing of raisins. I usually just keep raisins on hand in my pantry. Raisins, Nick loves to snack on them. I like to put them in my oatmeal and granola. I bake with them sometimes if a recipe calls for them. They're just kind of like one of those things that's good to keep on hand. And then this last thing I got is just some butternut squash that I'm gonna roast and have on the side with the halibut that I'm gonna make this week. I love butternut squash. I make soup with it. I tend to just normally eat it as a side. It's like Addison's favorite, so I constantly have butternut squash on hand too. And that's everything that I got from the store today. And Just to give you an idea, my bill was, I think, $185, but the fish alone was like $25. So we usually budget like $150 a week for groceries. And a lot of times, like, we allow that in our budget, but I'll be honest, a lot of times that stretches. Like, I definitely do not spend $150 every week at the grocery store. It's just, I feel like it's just impossible to do that if you plan out your meals the right way. So if we have money left over, we go out to eat, or we just put it into the next week's budget. I think it's really important to have a budget and to have a weekly meal plan, because otherwise when you get to the store, it's very easy to just go crazy and put a whole bunch of stuff in your cart. You end up spending $200 and you have a whole bunch of stuff and nothing with substance to make meals out of. So that is everything. And I'm winded because I ran through that really quick because my daughter's sleeping and I was trying to get this in before she wakes up. But I hope that you guys enjoyed this and found it helpful. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. I definitely think, because I've had so much positive feedback on the previous like recipes and grocery haul videos I've done, I think I'm gonna keep up with them. Like I said, do some food diaries, show you more like quick, easy, fast recipes that I live by. Like I said, you guys seem to enjoy them and I could talk about food all day. Like, I really enjoy videos like this. I love watching them, so it's been fun for me to share my perspective on it too. So I hope that you guys continue to enjoy these videos, and thank you again for watching, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye!